Hello students, Assalamu alaikum. Hope you are all doing good. By the way, I'm going to discuss bearings concept over here, that is actually reinforcement or revision of the concept as it has been already taught to you. But before doing this, I want to tell you one thing. I want to confirm one thing that I've already set the papers, and in the papers, hardly 2 to 4 marks are there, which are based on bearings. So it's not a big deal. But reinforcing the concept of bearing, what is bearing? It is simply a 3-digit angle, always observed or measured from north in clockwise direction only. So there are three things in this definition. It should be expressed in 3 digits. Always from north, start from north and go in clockwise direction only. 1, 2, 3. That are three things that are necessary to know before you start any question. And by the way, why we use bearing? Bearings are particularly used for navigation, especially in air, for aeroplanes or for helicopters as well, and in open sea for ships. Because in open sea or in air there are no such uh, paths or such roads are available, just like as our roads in between cities and for streets for just connecting two different places from one another. So we have to keep it in our mind that we have to take help from our compass needle. So compass needle points always towards north direction, so it is easier to tell your location or to understand any position with the help of compass needle, and that gives us north specifically. So with the help of that north direction we can observe angles, and that can be communicated to anyone. So it's easier to understand if we talk about directions or angles from north only. If we take some example here, like we have an equilateral triangle over here. This is an equilateral triangle, so all sides and all angles are equal. I think I should try to insert some well-defined shape if it is available. Yes, it's here. Better to keep this one. So all sides are equal, so all angles are equal, so obviously each and every angle is 60 degrees in this shape. And if I nominate the corners as A, B and C, these are the three vertices of the triangle, and now I'm going to find out the find out the bearing of B from A, the bearing of C from A. So from A means this is the reference point where we have to place the compass needle. From A, it makes it clear that this is the situation where we should consider the as the reference point. This is the reference point where we are going to observe the bearings of B and C from. So how do you draw it on diagram? First of all, you should know this is north always and this is east on right hand side of it. So obvious that west is opposite to east and south is opposite to north. You should just remember north and east. North is in forward direction, so it's always pointing towards top of the page, and right side shows east. When you keep your nose in the direction of north, your right hand side is east. These are the two directions that you should remember, and the rest can be obviously placed over there. So if I draw this north over here, and obviously this is the other line which is showing east and west, and this one is showing north and south. Just only this cross is enough. So this direction can be obvious that this upward direction is showing north. So how can I get the answer of the bearing of C from A? Simply understanding of this or angle or the question is more important than its calculation, because if you understand it well you can better answer it, otherwise you may go wrong. Like if I have to observe this angle, which angle is to be noted down, that is important. This is direction north. From north in clockwise direction I have to move until I reach to that line which is connecting the reference point with the point whose bearing is to be measured. Excuse me. It means I am just noting down the bearing of C from A. So I am doing this part first. So bearing of C from A means if you are standing at A and you are keeping compass needle in your hand, this is the direction of north, top towards the top of the page. How much from north direction you have to move this angle in order to reach to the line that is connecting with C. So angle between these two lines is to be observed. That is actually the bearing of C from A. And now it's easier to find it out. How you can find it out? Because this angle is 90 degrees. Angle between east, west, north, south is always 90. So north and east are making 90 degrees with one another, and east and south are making 90 degrees with one another. So this is already 90. So this is also 90 degrees. So you have to just subtract 60 from 90 in order to get this answer. So what is the bearing of C from A? This angle is 90 minus 60, that is 30 degrees. But you do not state your answer finally as this, because I told you earlier it should be in three figures. So you can write bearing of C from A equals to 030 degrees. So if you do not have complete three figures, you have to insert zeros earlier. If like it is 5 degrees, you should write 005 degrees. But identification of the angle is the must. From whatever point is written after from, that is actually the point where you should draw this cross of north, east, west, south. Okay. So observe the angle from north and in clockwise direction only, that is actually called bearing. Now this is easier to know. A bearing of point B from A, simply if I draw another line over here, this one is bearing of B from A, like from starting from north, moving in clockwise direction until I reach to that line which is connecting my reference point to the point whose bearing is required. Actually, I am going to find out bearing of B right now from point A, so I am standing at A. So I drew this cross earlier, so I am just using the same cross here, and starting from north, moving in clockwise direction and reaching to the line which is connecting the point whose bearing is required from that point where I am standing, or that is the reference point. So after from, what is written is actually reference point. So A is the point where I am standing and I am observing from north how much angle I have to make from north in clockwise direction in order to connect my point, my reference point with C, that is actually bearing of C from A, and in clockwise direction from north how much angle I have to make in order to find out the line which is connecting my reference point to the point whose bearing is required, that is actually bearing of point B. So this is easier to state directly your answer. There is no need of calculations required for this particular part question. Bearing of B from A equals to, it's obviously 90 degrees. So directly you can write 090 degrees. No need of calculation required for this. So it's easier. I think I should consider bearings from B as well. So let me extend this question. Part 3, bearing of A from B, and part 4, bearing of C from B. How can we do it? That's so simple. First of all, you should consider from what, as I did in the previous part. You have to start from the reference point. This is the reference point, which is written after from is the reference point. So actually I have to draw this cross over here like this and like this. This is north direction and this is east. Need not to label here. You can just write north, that is enough, because all other directions are obvious. So this is the point where I have to observe this whole scenario now, because B point is the reference point. And in order to find out bearing of A from B, I have to move in clockwise direction only, although it's easier to reach from anti-clockwise direction, but you are not allowed to go in anti-clockwise direction. You have to always go in clockwise direction. So I move in this direction like this and reach to the line that is actually connecting to point A. So going in clockwise direction and connecting to that line which is connecting our our point whose bearing is required. So this is actually how bearing of A from B can be observed, and it's easier to know that this is a straight line 180 degrees, this is 90 degrees, so it's obviously 270 degrees. So the answer of this question, bearing of A from B, is 270 degrees. That's so simple. If I consider bearing of C from B, again I have to start from north at point B and go in clockwise direction until I reach to the line which is connecting to point C. This is how bearing of C from B can be observed, and it's also easier, although this angle is easier to calculate. If I calculate this angle, this is 90 degrees, so 60 is subtracted from it, this is 30. But 30 degrees is not the bearing, because you have to consider it from north in clockwise direction only. So subtracting 30 from 360 degrees is a complete rotation. If you subtract 30 from it, 330 degrees is left. That is actually the bearing of C from B. So this is actually 330 degrees. Hope you students understand the concept of it. Now I'm going to discuss one examination question. Sometime it may be related to some different topics like trigonometry, or sometime it may be connected with the geometrical properties of circle. So let's take one example question from past papers. Although I have already solved it here, but I want to discuss with you again. So let me pick up this picture from here. I think I should draw it again because there are so many drawings on it, so you won't understand otherwise. There is a circle. Let me try to make it a proper shape of a circle, redefined shape. Okay, now I have a circle. From center there is a straight line. This center is O. A, B, let's suppose this is point C, this is point T, and this is point P. And this angle is already given in the question as 76 degrees. Let me check the question again. This is actually November 11, variant 22, question number 13, where this angle is given. Actually, I nominated this as C, this as B, doesn't matter. We just have to solve this question. This is not direction. Angle ATC, and calculate the bearing of B from C. If I write a complete question here, calculate angle ATB is the first part, and the second part is calculate the bearing of C from B. How can we solve this question? First of all, I want to tell you PT is tangent. It's given in the question, right? Is tangent to the circle. At point B, and ACT is a straight line. ACT is a straight line. And AOB is the diameter, is obvious, right? So how can I solve it? First of all, I have to do part 1 as angle ATB. ATB, this angle is required, but in order to calculate this angle, you should know that tangent touches the circle at right angle, so this angle is 90 degrees. So First I should find out this angle A, because it can be found from geometrical property of circle. Angle BAC, BAC, BAC is equals to half of angle BOC. BAC is half of BOC. First we write geometrical statement and then we give a reason for it. As you see, an arc BC, this is here, arc BC. Arc BC is connected to the center at O, and the same arc is connected to the circumference at A. So angle at the center is double as that of angle at the circumference, subtended by the same arc. So I can write the reason here: angle subtended by arc BC, arc BC at circumference is half of the angle at center. And remember students, geometrical reasoning is always important in geometry questions, so you should state the reason. Whenever you write this kind of statement, you should give the reason. So it's half of 76, and half of 76 is 35, and 3 38. So BAC angle is 38 degrees. Now we have the value of angle BAC, 38 degrees. And still I have to find out this angle. That is actually the requirement of the question in part 1, angle ATB. This is actually required. So what can I do? I can consider this angle as 90 degrees. I should state here, since PT is tangent, therefore ABT angle is 90 degrees. And consider triangle ABT. If you consider triangle ABT, which is a right angle triangle, so angle ATB equals to 90 minus angle BAT. So 90 minus 38, because they are complementary angles, I think I should write the reason. Complementary angle. If one angle is already 90 degrees in a right angle triangle, so the other two angles are complementary to one another, and you should know that those angles whose sum is 90 degrees are called complementary angles. So you can simply subtract angle BAT from 90 in order to get the answer of ATB. So it's like 52 degrees. This is ATB, angle ATB. This is the answer of first part. And then we have to calculate the bearing of C from B. So in order to find out bearing of C from B, you should first identify, as I told you earlier, most of the time students do not identify well which angle is actually required in the question. So if you do not identify it well, you cannot solve it correctly. So from what? From B. As I told you in the previous example question, this is the reference point for bearing. So I should make a cross over here like this. This is my north, this is east, and rest are obvious, so need not to draw. So what is actually required in the question? Bearing of C is required. So I have to connect a line, dotted line or a solid line, doesn't matter, which connects B point with C. My reference point with the point whose bearing is required, that is actually C. So starting in clockwise direction from north, I have to move further unless I reach to the line connecting B with C. This is the angle that is actually required in this question. This is called bearing of C from B. And now how to find it out? That's not a big deal. If you identify it well, you can find it easily. See, this is an isosceles triangle. OBC is an isosceles triangle because this is also radius. This is also radius because OB and OC are the radii of the circle. So they are equal. So this OBC is an isosceles triangle because two sides of the triangle are equal in length. So they must face equal angles as well. So if I mark over here as equal angles, this angle and this angle must be equal. I am nominating it as Y. So this one is also Y. So how can I calculate this angle Y? By angle sum of a triangle. Consider triangle OBC, and this triangle, one angle is 76 and the other two angles are Y and Y, so you can write Y plus Y equals to 180 degrees. That gives you 2Y equals to 180 minus 76. Y equals to 180 minus 76 divided by 2, so it's coming 52 degrees. (104) divided by 252 degrees. Yes. So if angle Y is 52 degrees, how can I state my final answer as bearing? Because this is the angle that I have to state as my final answer of bearing of C from B, because B is the reference point, and starting from north in clockwise direction, this is the angle that I have to finally state. Therefore, I can write the bearing as bearing of C from B equals to, this is 270 degrees, 90, 90, 90, 270 plus 52. 270 plus 52 equals to 322 degrees. 322 degrees. That's it. I think this is more than enough that I have discussed. Thank you, students. Wish you all the best for your upcoming final term examination. Thank you, students. Allah Hafiz.